The first time you watch this scene, it almost feels like somebody skipped a page. Tony turns around, looks at Perry, and somehow the whole room changes before anyone really understands why. A second ago, this was just another afternoon for the guys. They were eating, talking over each other, and then somebody opened the refrigerator. Then Perry says 5 words.
I didn't even open the refrigerator.
It is such a small sentence, almost too small for what happens next, because you can already feel that the refrigerator does not matter anymore. Maybe Perry opened it. Maybe he didn't. Nothing about the next 30 seconds changes either way. Tony keeps moving toward him, and Perry keeps trying to explain himself. Like this is still the kind of argument where an explanation can save you. But the guys around the table don't move. They just watch, and the whole thing feels strangely disconnected from whatever started it. Like everyone in that room is watching the end of an argument that began somewhere else. Perry hasn't challenged Tony. He hasn't embarrassed him. He hasn't even done enough to deserve being yelled at. He is just the unlucky man standing closest to whatever Tony brought into the room with him that morning. When the first punch lands, the room barely reacts. Everyone is still trying to understand why this man, why today, why something this small suddenly has to become this big. By the time Perry is on the floor, nobody remembers the refrigerator. Nobody remembers what Perry said. The only thing left in the room is Tony, breathing hard, standing over the biggest guy in the building, while everybody else sits perfectly still. And yeah, the first reaction is obvious. Tony is being petty. He's insecure, he's embarrassed, and poor Perry gets punished for existing too close to him. But I don't think this is random. By the end of this video, you might not like what Tony does, but you'll understand why he felt like he had no choice. Because in that world, weakness doesn't stay private. Once the room sees it, it starts spreading. And for Tony, it all started when Junior shoots him. Junior stands there with the gun already in his hand. For a second, Tony doesn't even seem to understand what he's looking at. Junior is in his bathrobe, small and confused, staring at him like Tony is somebody else. There's nothing powerful about him in this moment. Just an old man lost in his own house, holding something he shouldn't be holding. Then the gun goes off. The look that usually makes people adjust themselves around him is gone. He is on the floor, gasping, trying to move, trying to make his body listen, and Junior just wanders away. Tony is bleeding on the floor while Junior drifts through the house like he forgot why he came into the room. And even when he survives this, he cannot walk out of it clean. Because the bullet leaves more than a wound in his stomach, it leaves a picture. Helpless and calling for help. And once that picture exists, getting up is only the first problem. After Junior shoots him, Tony comes home with a new arrangement already in place. He has hired a bodyguard. Someone to stay close while he gets back to work. Because the last time Tony was alone in a house with Junior, he ended up bleeding on the floor and crawling for a phone. And this is how we get introduced to our gym bro.
Soprano, good morning. I'm Perry. Annunziata.
Carmela lets him in, asks if he is Gina's cousin, and Tony gets one look at him.
Muscles Marinara, the Italian strongman.
It sounds like a joke, and everyone lets it pass like a joke, but Tony names the thing immediately. Perry barely gets inside the house before his body becomes the first fact about him. Carmela is relieved to have him there. She says she feels better knowing Tony has somebody capable of protecting him, driving him, watching over him on his first day back at work. She means it with love, which almost makes it worse, because Tony is standing there with his drink, trying to smile through a conversation where everyone is being nice and somehow turning him into a responsibility. This is his first day back, and his wife is talking like she is sending him to school with a bigger kid.
Oh, your first day back at work. Gosh, I feel like a mommy.
Then Perry says,
He's in good hands, Mr. Soprano.
Good hands. Tony has spent his whole life being the hand around other people's necks. Now everyone is relieved that somebody has hands around him. He kisses Carmela goodbye and gets in the car, and for a few seconds, Perry just drives. Tony sits beside him with nothing to do except notice the comparison sitting next to him. Perry's arms are on the wheel, his shoulders fill the seat, and everything about him looks easy in a way Tony's body suddenly does not. So Tony starts asking questions.
So what do you do, free weights?
Depends what muscles I'm trying to hit, you know?
Tony nods like this is normal small talk, but there is nothing normal about Tony Soprano suddenly needing to discuss gym equipment with his driver.
Yeah, I gotta get back to the gym.
He is saying get back like this is some routine. Like Tony has been missing workouts because of all the mob boss paperwork. But Perry's body pulls the sentence out of him anyway. Tony is sitting there damaged, watched, protected, and now he has to create a version of himself that belongs in this conversation. Perry offers to make him a program, and he says it kindly. The kid is trying to help, and now Tony has gone from being protected by him to being offered instructions by him. So Tony reaches for something Perry cannot see.
There was a time when I could bench over 300 pounds. With a major head cold one time I did it.
He adds the part about doing it with a major head cold because the number by itself is not enough. The story needs the old toughness attached to it. Sick and still lifting. Sick and still stronger than everyone else. Perry keeps driving, and Tony keeps adding details. Perry gives him almost nothing, so the story just sits there in the car. Then a truck cuts them off, and Perry changes almost instantly. He leans on the horn before the moment is even over.
You don't signal?
Hey, fuck you.
Tony has to pull him back. And just like that, Perry catches himself. The anger leaves his face almost as quickly as it came in, and now he looks embarrassed, like a kid who forgot where he was.
My mom says I should count 10, but I never remember.
Tony smiles. It is the first moment in the car where Perry gives him something to look at besides the muscles. One bad lane change, and all that quiet strength jumps straight to the surface. The horn, the yelling, the apology, the little comment about his mother, it all comes out too fast. Tony sits beside him with the old bench press story still hanging in the air, only now there is something else there too. A small weakness Perry showed without meaning to. Tony has no use for it yet, but later when he needs somebody to push, he already knows Perry can be pushed. And just when you think Tony is about to walk into Melfi's office and talk about this giant insecurity he clearly has with Perry, this is what comes out of his mouth.
Is there any chance of a mercy fuck?
Oh, the man's trying to eat.
This man almost died, came home with half his body under reconstruction, got emotionally attacked by a guy named Muscles Marinara, and somehow his first move in therapy is to ask Melfi if there's a wounded veteran discount. Okay, this part is not really connected to the Perry plotline, I just found it too funny to skip. There is a conversation later that actually matters for what Tony does to Perry, and we'll come back to that. But before that, Tony goes back to the crew. Everybody is happy to see him, a little too happy I would say. They stand up, crowd around him, make space at the table, pull him back into the old noise. Somebody already got his food. Somebody else worries about the coffee and says,
Smoke that Joe so it's hot.
it looks respectful and even sweet if I can say. The boss is back, so the room moves for him. But they are moving too much. A few weeks ago, these guys adjusted themselves because Tony was dangerous. Now they are adjusting themselves because Tony is recovering. It is the same table, the same chairs, the same food, the same guys talking over each other, but the feeling underneath it has changed just enough for Tony to feel it. He sits down and tries to enter the old routine, and immediately his body gets in the way.
The onions, I can't.
It is such a small line, and that is why it stings. Tony has barely sat down, and already the room is being reminded that his body has new rules now. The food has to be adjusted, the coffee has to be hot, the medicine has to be remembered. Everything around him starts becoming careful. And because Tony can feel the room getting softer, he tries to turn the wound into something that still sounds like him. Christopher brings up his spleen, and Tony snaps back with the only kind of competition he can still win.
Spleen my ass. Beat this.
For a second, he gets the reaction he wants. The guys look, they groan, they make noise, and Tony starts telling the story like he is showing off a trophy instead of an incision. He is trying to make the wound sound impressive, like this is another brutal thing Tony Soprano survived. But the longer he talks, the more the table starts feeling like a hospital room. The guys keep listening with those careful faces. They are impressed, disgusted, sympathetic, all at once. Nobody is mocking him. Nobody is challenging him. Somehow, that makes it more uncomfortable, because Tony is trying to turn the wound into proof of strength, and the room keeps receiving it like proof that he was almost gone. Then Dante pushes it one step too far.
Yeah.
So Tony, with your medicine, you want to set my watch so you don't gotta worry?
He means well. Obviously, he is acting out of care. He is offering help in the most loyal, harmless way possible, but now one of Tony's own guys is volunteering to keep track of his pills. Silvio hears how bad it sounds before Dante does.
Nurse Betty over here.
Everybody laughs because the joke gives them somewhere to put the awkwardness. A soldier just offered to set a timer for the boss's medication, and for a second the whole room can feel how strange that is. The guys are doing everything right. They are feeding him, serving him, watching him, trying to make his first day back easier. On paper, it is loyalty. In the room, it starts to feel like pity. Tony came back to sit at the table again to feel the old room come back around him. Instead, every nice thing they do reminds him why they are being nice in the first place. They are glad he is alive, and Tony can feel that gratitude slowly turning into something he cannot stand being near. Then the wedding puts Tony in a place where he cannot control who sees him. He walks in dressed like himself again. Suit, tie, the annoyed face, already irritated that the marshals are making everybody pass through security. New Jersey is there. New York is there. Wives, kids, soldiers, bosses, guests, people who know exactly how to read weakness even when nobody says the word out loud. Then the detector keeps going off, and the marshal tells him to remove his shoes. Tony looks down before he moves. You can see him pause at the size of the request because it is so small and somehow too much. Any other day, he bends down, takes them off, and gives somebody a look for wasting his time. Here, the whole entrance is waiting while he negotiates with his own body. He tries anyway. Then his body gives out in front of everybody. All at once, the boss disappears under a crowd of people trying to help him. Tony Soprano almost going down because he had to take off his shoes. Then someone kneels in front of him. Tony sits there while another man takes care of the thing his body cannot do, and the whole entrance keeps looking. The damage is already in the speed of the reaction. For Tony, sure, the humiliation is bad, but the weakness is worse. Because this is happening at a wedding, with New Jersey and New York both watching, in a world where men remember little moments like this long after everyone pretends they forgot. By the time Tony gets through the checkpoint, he is still dressed like the old Tony. But everyone has already seen him need help. Then Tony watches Johnny Sack lose the room. Johnny is trying to leave his daughter's wedding with some dignity still attached to the day.
Let's go, John.
What? Wait a second.
Johnny tries to hold them off for one more moment. The cuffs come out, the family starts crying, and Johnny gets pulled away in front of everybody. His daughter sees it, his wife sees it, New York sees it, New Jersey sees it, and then Johnny starts crying. Tony watches it happen, and his first instinct is to defend him. He can understand why a man might break for his daughter on her wedding day. But Phil doesn't see a father. He sees a boss crying in public.
My estimation of John Sacramone as a man just fucking plummeted.
That is how fast the room turns. One human moment, and suddenly Johnny is being measured like he failed something.
To cry like a woman? It's a fucking disgrace. Well, even Cinderella didn't cry.
The tears become evidence before the car even leaves. Then Phil says the part Tony cannot really dismiss.
If they can make him cry, and if he's that weak, what the fuck else can they make him do?
Now the crying is no longer just embarrassing, it is dangerous. Christopher agrees with Phil, and that makes it worse.
I gotta agree with Phil, Tom.
Oh, you do you?
New York judges Johnny, and one of Tony's own guys accepts the judgment without hesitation. Tony can argue with it out loud, but he has already seen what the room does with weakness. It doesn't comfort it, it stores it. And this time, credit where it's due, Tony actually goes to Melfi for therapy. No mercy fuck request, no wounded veteran discount, just the thing he cannot stop replaying in his head.
Made me take off my shoes, and I nearly passed out in front of everybody trying to bend over.
That is the part that keeps sticking in him, in front of everybody. Tony keeps circling back to the audience. Then he says the thing that makes every nice gesture from earlier feel different.
They're my friends, a lot of them, but they're also fucking jackals.
That is why the kindness has been bothering him. The coffee, the medicine, the chair, the water at the wedding. All of it looked like concern. Tony has been listening for the sound underneath it. A pause that lasts too long. A look that does not move fast enough. A question that would have stayed in someone's mouth before the shooting.
Subtle, but since I've been back, I've been noticing certain looks, and people questioning my judgment, what they never did before.
Melfi gives him the word.
Alpha male.
Tony does not fight her on it. For once, therapy is speaking a language his life already understands. He knows how men test each other. He knows how fast respect turns into appetite. He just watched Johnny Sack cry at his daughter's wedding and become smaller in other men's mouths before the cars even left. Then Melfi tells him to act as if.
Act as if. As if you're not feeling vulnerable. As if you're the same old Anthony. Strong, I'm sure, decisive.
She is giving him a mask. Tony hears a weapon.
People see only what you allow them to see.
That line lands exactly where the fear has been sitting. If the room keeps seeing the hospital, the chair, the shoes, and the hands reaching toward him, the room needs a new picture. By the time he leaves Melfi's office, that new picture is already starting to form. So the first thing Tony sees when he goes back to the guys is Bobby is outside with the little basketball hoop, taking shots like he's Michael Jordan, if Michael Jordan discovered gabagool before cardio. Tony watches him move, heavy and loose, comfortable enough to play around in front of the pork store, while Tony is still walking around inside a body that keeps making the room nervous. Bobby is big, slow, nobody's idea of an athlete, and still he is moving without drama, bending without everyone holding their breath, playing without somebody rushing over to help him. His body is a punchline, and somehow even that body looks freer than Tony's. Tony walks inside, and now every little thing has a charge in it. The guys greet him the right way. The words are right. The room still knows the script. But Tony is looking past the script now and is actively scanning the room. He is looking for who is too comfortable, who looks away too fast, who looks too long, who moves like the place has been running fine without him. He then asks about Vito.
You talked to Vito? I called him 2 times. He never called me back.
Vito has not called him back. A boss calls twice and the phone stays quiet. Someone says Vito called him the other night and now the small thing gets teeth. Vito can call someone else. Vito can check in somewhere else. Tony is the one waiting. A minute later, another hand reaches toward him through kindness.
Hungry tea? You want, I'll have Bissell fix your sandwich.
Tony says he's good, but the room keeps offering him the same role he has been trying to crawl out of all episode. By now, Tony is barely in the conversation. He is collecting little pictures, Bobby moving too freely outside, Vito letting the phone ring into nothing, Perry standing there with 265 pounds on him, the guys sitting around with food, cards, jokes, comfort. Tony came in trying to decide what the room was allowed to see, and everywhere he looks, the room is giving him something he cannot stand.
What's your fucking problem?
Perry looks confused because he is still living in the normal version of the moment.
What the fuck is your problem? Slamming the goddamn refrigerator door.
What? No.
Perry tries to explain it cleanly.
I didn't even open the refrigerator. The Coke was out on the counter.
What, are you gonna argue with me now?
Perry still thinks accuracy can save him. He thinks if he explains the Coke, the door, the counter, Tony will realize this is a mistake. Tony hears resistance.
So you are gonna argue with me? Huh? You fucking mutt?
Perry starts shrinking before the first punch.
Look, Tony, I don't want to...
You don't wanna what?
Now the room is exactly where Tony needs it. The cards are dead. The food is dead. Nobody is thinking about Vito's phone or Bobby's little basketball hoop. Every face is turned toward Tony, and for the first time since he walked in, the attention has no pity in it. Perry barely did anything. He was not planning against Tony. He was not making a move. He was not trying to embarrass him. He was just big, young, emotional, and standing close enough when Tony needed someone to carry the message. The first punch lands, and Perry's size stops protecting him. Tony keeps going. The guys yell for him to stop, but nobody truly gets between them. They can feel the old rule coming back into the room. Tony is turning nothing into punishment right in front of them, and the excuse does not matter anymore. By the time Perry is on the floor, Satriale's has changed shape. The chair is gone. The sandwich is gone. The careful voices are gone. Tony stands over the biggest guy in the building, breathing hard, while everyone else sits still.
What's that, huh? You got anything else to say?
And for a few seconds, everyone is looking at Tony the way he needed them to. Perry is on the floor. The room is quiet again. Nobody is looking at Tony like the man who came home from the hospital. They are looking at the boss. That is the version of himself Tony needed to bring back. But it does not end in that room. We see Tony go into the bathroom, away from everything. Tony leans over the sink and starts coughing blood. It is such a deliberate cut. Because the room believed the beating but his body didn't. Tony spends the entire episode trying to outrun the knowledge that something has changed inside him that no display of violence can undo. His authority was always built on an illusion that felt permanent. The biggest man in the room, the one nobody could imagine lying helpless on a kitchen floor waiting for somebody else to save him. Junior shattered that illusion with one bullet. Beating Perry lets Tony replace it with another image for everyone else. It reminds the crew who they're dealing with. It restores the silence he has been chasing ever since he walked back into Satriale's. But the bathroom reminds us that the only person Tony cannot intimidate is himself. His body doesn't care that Perry lost the fight. It doesn't care that the room is afraid again. It doesn't care how many men still call him boss. The blood comes anyway. And maybe that's why this scene lingers long after the punches are over. Tony wins exactly the battle he wanted to win. The room believes in him again. But when he is finally alone, with nobody left to convince, the truth is waiting exactly where he left it. The body remembers what the room is allowed to forget.